Hey there, what's up? I got some bad news. Went on YouTube last night and I found that there's another channel called Blue Collar Scholar. He's got like 9 videos, and it seems like he's kind of like not active anymore. So I don't know what to call this now. Uh, it's hard finding names because all the good names are taken and all the available names are dumb. So I don't know. Uh, I'll keep going, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to think of something better. Okay, so we're doing New Class War, Michael Lind. I think this is part 4. Um, let's continue on. I would suggest reading these books too, because I know I said that I take all the best parts, but a lot of times I take them out of context and stuff like that. So uh, you're probably better off reading or listening to the book, um, just so that you really get the full story, the full picture. Okay, so continuing on. In spring 2019, after a 2-year investigation, Special Counsel Robert Mueller found no evidence that the Trump campaign conspired with Russia to influence the 2016 presidential election, leaving many Americans who had believed that the president would be exposed as a traitor disoriented and depressed. However, Mueller and his team, in addition to indicting some Trump campaign officials on unrelated charges, did charge a number of Russians with criminal interference in the 2016 election, allowing Trump's opponents to salvage the thesis that Clinton would have become president of the United States but for Putin's interference. Yeah, so you see a lot of reading about that. I remember being on Reddit during that whole time, and wow, it was the all of the left's heroes age like milk. Like at that time, they were also all about Michael Avenatti, and now he's going to jail. But he was at one point. They were like, this guy should be the Democrat nominee going into 2020. He's got all the tools, and he's going to take down Trump, and he's going to prove that he likes to get pissed on. And what happened? Um, I don't know if it was proved. I actually don't really remember what happened with that. I remember Stormy Daniels got sued, and she had to pay Trump. Um, and I remember, yeah, I just remember like everybody being, well, they never learned from it though, because now that they're doing the same thing with like Zelensky, they did the same thing with Cuomo, they did the same thing with uh, fucking Fauci, and like all of their heroes just end up being exposed eventually as uh, highly corrupt, highly like just kind of evil people. Um, and I have no doubt that like Zelensky suspended the opposition party. A lot of people say that they're a pro-Russian party, but I take their claims of what constitutes pro-Russia as they're probably just like, maybe we should negotiate with Russia for a ceasefire. And I'm like, that's pro-Russia, fuck you. So I don't really take those claims very seriously. Uh, Continuing. Like any effective thriller movie or novel, this narrative seeks to achieve realism by weaving facts into a formulaic, conspiracy-based plot. It is a fact that Putin, like many Russians, resent the treatment of Russia by the West after the Cold War, symbolized by the incorporation of former Russian satellites into the European Union and the expansion of NATO. Russian nationalists and many populists in Europe and the US share a common hostility to the transnational European Union, as well as contemporary transatlantic social liberalism. In addition, Western intelligence authorities claim that Russian intelligence operatives have engaged in trying to promote conflict in the US and other countries by helping whistleblowers like WikiLeaks and Edward Snowden leak stolen or classified information, and by bombarding carefully targeted audiences with internet memes and ads. Well, they do have dank memes. I mean, their meme warfare ability is top notch, I gotta say. Um, Killing it on the meme front. But yeah, that was a giant conspiracy theory that was pushed by the corporate press. Um, and you know what? I don't know. I still don't think Hillary Clinton would have won. I think. I think a, that was a turning point moment where populism really started taking over, and the establishment started withering and dying. Um, Influential members of today's American establishment, not only marginal conspiracy theorists, in order to absolve Hillary Clinton of blame for losing the 2016 election, have promoted the claim that the 45th U.S. president was installed by a former government and does its bidding. A Gallup poll in August 2018 showed that 78% of Democrats believe that not only Russia interfered in the election, but also that it changed the outcome, denying Hillary Clinton the presidency. Yeah, so we kind of covered that already. And, you know, whatever helps you sleep at night. That's the end. Far from being anti-establishment populists, opposed by most of the college-educated, prosperous elites of their nation, Mussolini and Hitler enjoyed substantial support from military, bureaucratic, and business elites in Italy and Germany, who feared the working class and viewed fascism as a bulwark against communism, socialism, and liberal democracy. The myth that fascism was brought to power by less educated members of the working class is nevertheless useful for managerial elites in Washington, London, Paris, and Berlin, as they seek to delegitimate populist challenges to their political, economic, and cultural hegemony. Yeah. So that's a kind of important point, was the Nazis weren't that popular. I think a lot, it's like, this is the scary thing about a determined minority, because I think they only had like 30% public support or something like that, like in the elections and stuff like that. But it was like, you had the communists, which sucked, and you had the Nazis, which also sucked, but the Nazis were like stronger, so they kind of just ended up winning. I'm probably getting a lot of that. There's a lot more nuance to it than that. The blurring of important distinctions is not an accident. The purpose of describing political adversaries as phobes is to medicalize politics and treat differing viewpoints as evidence of mental and emotional disorders. That's kind of a funny thing I've been thinking of too, is because they call everybody, if you're concerned about transitioning kids into a different sex, or a different gender, I should say, because you can't change your sex, they'll call you like transphobic and stuff. But it's like, a phobia is a medical, like, that's like a mental illness. So aren't we supposed to destigmatize mental illness? Why are you using this as a term of derision? It's kind of ableist, really. Okay, we'll do one more, and then I gotta go back. This blurring of important distinctions. Oh, did that one. In the latter years of the Soviet Union, political dissidents were often diagnosed with sluggish schizophrenia and then confined to psychiatric hospitals and drugged. According to the regime, anyone who criticized communists literally had to be insane. So yeah, that is pretty frightening. And it's just a good example of how the medical establishment, or the medical establishment, and the psychiatric establishment, and all these things, they can be weaponized against enemies of the state, and it's frightening. It's frightening that, because that's gaslighting. That's like textbook gaslighting by the state. But it kind of almost becomes inevitable, unfortunately. I think it's going to happen here sooner or later, possibly. It's not looking that good right now, especially with all these internet censorship bills they're trying to push through and stuff. And I don't like it, but maybe that just makes me crazy. Okay, bye.